Hi, Nick Boss. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And early at that. Don't forget to drink your water if you've got some. Hi, Billingham. Ooh, that reminded me. Let's see. I think I can set this to 0. Congratulations on redeeming first, Billingham.
1.
And we've got an anxiety in chat. You're entering the flow state? Well, congratulations on that. Lo and behold, my dearest fishies, I do decree it's stream time. It's stream time, it's stream time, it's stream time. And I know you guys are so excited for stream. Super mega ultra excited. High anxiety. You got an ad for a Marvel game? Let me go ahead and get the puzzle started, because I know somebody's gonna want. Oh, there is still a puzzle going. Gotta get down. Oh Lord, I don't remember the lyrics. Hello, B-Dogs. Thank you for being on TikTok. TikTok. TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. Puzzle working? Yeah, the puzzle should be working. Neo Metal Sonic, it's good to see you. How are you? Let's go ahead and refresh the puzzle. Token expired. My buns. I probably have to do the age-old solution of copy the link, close out, go back in, paste the link again. Ta-da! It's fixed. How are you? How was your day today? How are you feeling? We have 2.5 minutes before ads finish. Eyes, thank you so much for the heart. If I had hands, I would give you, I would heart with my hands. Hi, Frank. Hello. Hi, Akira. How have you been? It's been a while. You have a nice voice. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. And thank you so much for 100 likes already on the TikTok stream. That's crazy. Been working with my cousin and doing gardens. This is the perfect season for gardens. Let's go, Sonic. Get that money. Big money. Cash in. You do ASMR. Yes, I do ASMR. I also, and what we will be doing today, is narrating a book live on stream. I have ASMR videos edited and scheduled to post, so we will get some ASMR YouTube videos coming soon. What about you? You miss me? Yes, of course, Akira. I always wonder when you're gonna join, because I know that the time zone is completely different for you. Hi, Milo. Do you like coffee or tea? They both have really good qualities. I like both of them. I unfortunately am limited on how much caffeine I can consume, so I cannot partake in coffee and tea. You have a great voice. I'm serious. You could do commercials on radio. I've actually heard from people that I've met that they think that I would be really good for radio. I've never tried, but I am hoping to spend some time pretty soon on applying for some voice acting roles. Of course, Akira. Of course I'm gonna remember you. Chill Guy, thank you so much for the gifts. And Milo, thank you. Thank you guys so much. Kimmy, thank you for the rose. Thank you for the hydrate, Watercat. It's never the season for cutting grass down in Scotland. I know that where I live, we get a lot of sunshine and the grass grows very quickly. Maybe in the future we could do a like a just chatting stream where I get to talk to everybody and not have to focus on a book, but we do get to narrate this book, and I am so incredibly excited and I am so honored that I get to work with this author and produce the audiobook for their book. Don't forget us when you're uber famous. Funny that you think that like I'd be going anywhere. If I'm uber famous, which me, the size of Shy Lily? Come on. Do you really think that would happen? Hi Don. Hi Atine. Hi True Gamer. Aro, thank you. Omar, thank you. A talk show or something? Well, hey, that's mostly what streaming is, right? Interaction and talking and hanging out. Oh, V-button. V-button. Ooh. Just blame the cat. The cat stepped on your keyboard. The name of the book is Drown the Stars. And if anybody in TikTok chat or in YouTube chat is looking for specific information, the best place to find it is going to be on Twitch. Twitch has all of the commands, and sometimes you don't even need a command. If you say specific key phrases, the bot will actually respond to you and make it super, super easy to get the information you need. The book is actually on sale on TikTok Shop. So if you would like a signed copy for yourself, I'm not being paid to do this or to say this, by the way. Like, this is not sponsored. This is not an ad. I am not getting money for this. I just really like this book, and I'm excited that I get to support this author and read their book and share it with you. So please enjoy listening to the story, and if you like it enough that you want to buy it, it's actually on sale right now. You're writing a book? No, Akira, I'm reading a book. Talk show with virtual live audience? Yeah, I could totally, that's a great idea. I could set up a future stream where I am facing my fish and all we do is talk. I can set it up so that when the fish say something in chat, or when the fish subscribe or give a gift sub, that they actually have a chat bubble over their head. So how cool would it be if I set up a stream where I get to talk to Twitch chat? Unfortunately, I only have the API to make Twitch and YouTube chat into fish. I'm sorry, TikTok chat. The API just isn't there. How cool would that be? That would be really sick. You're absolutely gonna pop off. You know what? I promised somebody that I would practice being more confident. So this is me practicing and saying, Yes. I will be a bigger creator in the future than I am today. Whether it's 1 follower more or 10,000. How many followers does Shy Lily have? Whether it's 1 follower or 100,000. Hi, FR. Good to see you. Hi, Biggs. I also saw Northern Light. Hi. Comfort streamer. Thank you, John. Oh, you guys are so sweet. I really... Yes, Fallen. I'm live again. We came back yesterday with Chapter 8, and we are here today for Chapter 9. So, you know what time it is. Put a 1 in chat if you're ready for me to begin reading. Fallen, thank you so much for the gifts. Thank you. Pan is ready. Ateen is ready. Nuke is ready. Howitzer, hi, is ready. Northern Light is ready. Rats is ready. I don't know if I said Fallen is ready. And Pearl Azul, hi! Pearl is ready. And Sonic is ready. And Latte is ready. I have so much fun with you guys. Don't mention it like you're my best. Are you kidding? I'll say your name again. Jap is ready, and Kaleido is ready, and ASMR Mans is ready. Oh, I love it that you guys get excited to read like I do. Alright. Do we want lights on or lights off? Well, you guys can change that. If you're in Twitch chat, !lights. You can turn my lights on and off every 10 seconds if you choose. Also, just a reminder, I am recording, so I do apologize if somebody else comes into chat and they say, hey, and I don't answer. Please do me a huge favor and say hi to them and interact with them, because, like I said, I'm recording and I can't stop recording. Otherwise, I'm gonna be in editing hell when I get to the editing phase. Chapter 9. 2 years and 1 week post-Wakma. 5 years before assassination. Vane limped through the streets of a residential area, pausing every few minutes to glance at her bioband to make sure she was going to the right place, and to lean on her cane. The cane the medic had been shocked to see her actually take home. Why wouldn't I use it? Vane had asked. You said if I wanted to heal it properly, I'd need to use a cane for the next 2 weeks. I know, but most officers don't. They refuse to look weak. Well, I refuse to be left with a useless foot. I have a job to do. Releasing a sigh, Vane continued to plod through the street lined with homes. This neighborhood wasn't as fancy as the one she and Iris currently lived in. But even so, she found herself intimidated by all the shows of wealth. She plodded through the shallow water of the path, ignoring anyone else who happened to be out and about. Iris said it was best to be aloof, to pretend like nothing happened. It apparently made her look more intimidating. Everyone knows what you did. You could probably break into tears, and they'd still be terrified of you. Vane looked up at the house to her left. A modern build made of several large domes. A rather boring style, in her opinion, but extremely popular. especially among those who desperately clung to any status they had. It made sense, considering who she was going to visit. She turned into the path leading up to the house, grimacing as every movement reminded her of her various lingering injuries. The medic said there wouldn't be too many permanent effects except from scars, and she desperately hoped that was the case. She hated feeling like this. While she'd barely noticed her injuries on Kaivalis, the mornings had become almost too painful to bear at times. At least the dull agony took her mind off the fact the Queen had knowingly brought her kid to an extremely hostile planet because sending him back would have been a mild inconvenience. He could have died if the insurgents knew he was there. How was she supposed to keep him safe if his own mother refused to? Vane reached the doorway of her destination and triple-checked. Take a drink of water. Vane reached the doorway of her destination, and she triple-checked to make sure she was at the right place. She wrapped the head of her cane on the doorframe, too weak to make any substantial noises with her hands. It didn't take long for the door to swing open to reveal Salakin, the former head caretaker of the Crown's children. "Hello," Vane said, immediately hating herself. She'd just cost this woman her career, her entire lifestyle, and she opened with hello? Salakin stiffened and fell into a deep bow, knuckle of her index finger touching her nose in a strong sign of respect. "Sir Admiral Vane, I wasn't expecting you." "I know." Vane tried not to wince at how painfully inadequate her words were. It was nice to know that continuing her old habit of murder still didn't help her social status. "Listen, Salakin, I didn't mean for you to lose your job at the palace." Salakin did not rise from her bow. "Stop it," Vane said. "At ease, whatever." "Of course, Admiral," Salakin said, voice monotone. She refused to meet Vane's eyes. Everything about this was stupid. "I think you know I technically have your job now," Vane said. "And the job of everyone in your entourage." Though she still refused to make eye contact, a fire smoldered behind Salakin's pupils. "That is correct, Admiral." "I looked you up," Vane said. "You were a vice admiral once, highly decorated. One of the few to earn the Queen's praise and accolades from the King himself." "None of my accomplishments come close to yours," Salakin said. She was probably trying to sound completely mechanical, but there was no hiding the venom lurking beneath her mannerisms. "They weren't enough. My blood sickness rendered me too weak to maintain control." Nope, I said that wrong again. My blood sickness rendered me too weak to maintain command. Vane sucked a breath through her teeth. There was little chance Salakin would be able to find employment after this. I'm sorry. I don't desire your pity, Admiral. I don't desire your pity, Admiral. She couldn't do this anymore. I'm here to offer you a job, Vane blurted. Salakin blinked and finally met Vane's gaze. Excuse me? Look, Vane said. I never wanted to be any of this. Admiral, caretaker, none of it. It wasn't hard to find people to... I don't like the tone that I'm using. Look, Vane said. I never wanted to be any of this. Admiral, caretaker, none of it. It wasn't hard to find people to take care of all my military duties, but I don't know anything about babies, Salakin. I don't know anything about older kids either, but I've spent enough time around Rockvaw to figure him out. I'm apparently entitled to have an entourage now, and I'd like you to be in it, assuming you follow my rules for how the kids are treated. I'll even grant you authority to hire people to help you. Why? Salakin. Ooh. Voice crack. Babies! Drink your water. Why? Salakin asked, stepping backwards into her house. You hate me. I don't like you, but I never meant to get you fired, Vane said. I'm willing to give you a second chance. I'll even maintain your old pay so you can stay in this house. I know how terrible it is for people who aren't in the military. If I did nothing, it would mean sending you to become homeless and probably a weeper. No one deserves that. I'd never stoop to being a weeper, Salakin said, spitting out the words. Sorry, my body is making noises, and that interferes with the recording. I don't like you, but I never meant to get you fired, Vane said. I'm willing to give you a second chance. I'll even maintain your old pay so you can stay in this house. I know how terrible it is for people who aren't in the military. If I did nothing, it would mean sending you to become homeless and probably a weeper. No one deserves that. I'd never stoop to being a weeper, Salakin said, spitting out the words before glancing at Vane's own weeper's mark. Her face went pale, and she folded over into another bow. My apologies, Admiral. I didn't mean... I don't care, Vane said, shifting the weight on her foot. Do you want the job or not? Do you want the job or not? Salakin stared at the crystal water lapping against her own ankles. I'll take it. Good, Vane said. Don't take my generosity for granted. If I ever even hear about you mistreating any of the kids, I won't hesitate to replace you. Understood, Admiral. Salakin deepened her bow, making Vane sick. I'll see you tomorrow at your normal time, Vane said. Induct you into my entourage, all the formal things. Induct you into my entourage, all the formal things. Good luck, Vice Admiral. Without waiting for Salakin to respond, Vane turned away and limped down the marble-lined path. I'm going to stop the recording there for just a moment. Hello. Apologies for any of our newcomers who joined while I was recording or reading that chapter. I apologize. I just need a moment. I need maybe a few minutes because I'm like burpy and thirsty and my mouth is like, you know. Sammy had asked, what book is this? This is Drown the Stars by Quiana Chase. Wonderful author. I am so honored to be able to read their book for you today. And I highly recommend not only checking out their TikTok, because they have some very funny skits and they're a wonderful person. But I would highly encourage you checking out this book for yourself. If you go through Quiana's linked tree, if you go through Quiana's website, there is actually instructions on how you can read this book yourself for free. If, you're interested in it. I think you should. I think you should be. I also see the fishies are kind of off the screen. So I am going to increase their placement just a little bit. Does she go through Audible? So there is not currently an audiobook for Drown the Stars. However, my reading here on stream is the process of creating the audiobook. And the audiobook will be hosted on my YouTube channel for free. So everybody can listen to the audiobook for free. Hi, Lizard. Fallen, thank you for joining on Twitch. Under the same name? Yes. Twerk, if you want to find any of my channels, the link in my profile will actually take you to everything. I try to make it very easy. For anybody who is interested in getting a copy of the book yourself, I do actually provide a link in that link. Sorry, it's Linkception. I provide a link in the link to Quiana's TikTok shop where you can purchase the book for yourself. It's actually a signed copy of the book for a 50% discount, which is amazing. I got mine delivered this week. I haven't been to your stream for ages. Well, yeah, before the other day. Hi, Karis, welcome. What do I think about web novels? What do you mean? Like fan fictions or visual novels or... Because I can't really read a visual novel, but I like reading for you guys. I can't keep up with our love of reading. I love to read, and I love to read to people. Like Spider-Man. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start the next section, which I'm super excited for, because this starts part 2 Yippee! I gotta rub my eyes, my eyeballs. I also wanted to do that and change that. Okay. Sunny! Hi, Sunny! StephTsu. I don't know what time it is for you. It's probably morning, right? You're like more than 8 hours ahead? Dobry din. Dobry din. Hi, Sunny. Alright, let's continue with the next chapter. Part 2. Mentor. Chapter 10. 7 years post-Wakma. 5 months before assassination. Vane always enjoyed taking advantage of the fact that she could teach whatever she wanted in her engineering classes. I know we're technically in your mechanical unit right now, but today I wanted to try something different, she said, both Rokva and Zaylin seated before her. Kellis was off taking discipline training from Salakin, which meant that the group lesson could be a little more advanced than usual. Zaylin's eyebrows raised slightly, hands folded primly in front of her. She did a fantastic job of ignoring her younger brother, who tapped his feet excitedly on the ground and kept checking the time. How different? Zaylin asked. We'll be studying software and bioware, not usually my area of expertise, but it was noticeably absent from your regular curriculum. Vane handed them each a biopad, with both displayed a basic command console. Those are both usually skills traditionally attributed to the peasantry, Zaylin said. Isn't everything I teach? Normally, Rokva would be delighted to have any form of tech in front of him, but he barely even noticed the biopad on his desk, and kept switching his gaze from the time on his wrist to the door. Vane didn't feel like asking him to pay attention. He'd only be here for less than an hour anyway, and she didn't want to dry up his mood. The kid had been looking forward to today for ages. If you had to guess the most important element of maintaining our empire, what would it be? Vane asked. Control, Zaylin said without hesitation. Right, but how do we preserve that control? Armed forces play a large part, but they'd be almost useless without data and the transmission of it. Vane tapped on her bioband. Think about it. If I were to fly to a completely different colony tomorrow and refuse to apply my Weeper's mark, I'd be arrested almost immediately, even if no one there knew my face or history. Though Zaylin's face usually remained impassive, it quickly turned into a picture of discomfort. Don't look at me like that, Vane said. It's a fact, and a very good example, but the reason why I'd be arrested and why Zavayan armed forces remain a threat to disobedience no matter where in the galaxy I go is because of the information connected to every single identification data number. Without that data, or the ability to share it with a massive network, you lose control like that. people could just disappear. You still don't have to make your point like that, Zaylin mumbled. Vane folded her arms. Why not? Why not? It's just... You don't have to bring up the fact that... You know... We're supposed to respect you. Vane tapped the mark on her face. This is still here whether I bring it up or not. Everyone can see it. Everyone can still see it. I don't understand why I can't talk about it. Is it impossible to respect me if I'm a weeper? You almost sound proud of it, Zaylin said. Zivayans are taught to be proud of our scars. Vane cleared her throat. That was enough of her parents' heretical ideology for the day. Vane cleared her throat. That was enough of her parents' heretical ideology for the day. Anyway, we're going to learn how all the Empire's data is maintained and monitored, and how you can personally access it even if you don't have one of us Oh my god. And how you can personally access it even if you don't have one of us peasantry around. I didn't mean that you were part of the peasantry, Zaylin said. I just... She saw Vane's faint smirk and rolled her eyes, leaning back in her chair with a pout. You're finally starting to recognize teasing, Vane said. Good. I've heard it's a useful skill. It's not like I have many chances to practice, Zaylin muttered. Sure you do, Rokva said. You spend lots of time with Dad. He's different. Zaylin turned her attention to the data pad. You were going to teach us something, Admiral? Vane nodded. Indeed. Rokva, I'm going to assume you were listening the whole time, and I won't repeat anything I said. Though her words had been another sly jab, it turned out the kid had been paying attention. Vane taught them about the basic structure of databases. Vane taught them about the basic structure of databases, the location of information, and how it was stored in local sources versus broad ones. She gave the kids materials to make their own basic data sticks, and carefully helped them assemble the tiny devices. Zaylin didn't struggle by any means, but Rokva kept pace with her, though he only picked up on every other word Vane said. He was halfway done congealing biomatter onto the storage chip. When a member of the Royal Guard appeared at the doorway. Rokva sprang to his feet, poised to bolt before he halted, and glanced back at Vane. Go ahead, Your Highness, Vane said, offering a salute. The kid grinned and scrambled under the table, Mantle getting caught on his chair before he wrenched himself free. I keep saying words wrong. Time for a water break. No, I'm not gonna explode. I'm just gonna take a deep breath, remind myself, it's not that deep, bro. It's not that deep. The kid grinned and scrambled under the table, Mantle getting caught on his chair before he wrenched himself free and joined the guard. Zaylin pretended to be completely focused on her project, but the moment the guard and Rokva disappeared, she spoke without looking up. What's he so excited for? He gets to do advanced combat training, Vane said. It's all he's been able to talk about for weeks. You want to make sure the biomatter is thinner, by the way. It throws a fit if there's any clumps. A frustrated growl emerged from Zaylin's throat. Why is this so complicated? Are you surprised the peasantry's job is so difficult? Are you surprised the peasantry's job is so difficult? Zaylin looked up to glare at Vane. You're not gonna let that one go, are you? I said the entire statement wrong. Zaylin looked up to glare at Vane. You're not gonna let that go, are you? Only if you order me to, Vane said. I am, after all, just a humble servant who lives to mindlessly receive orders from the crown. If you keep insisting that you're a peasant, I'll have to demote you to one, Zaylin said. She tipped her hollow cube towards Vane. Did I do it right? Vane squinted at her handiwork. Yes, I think so. But we'll only know for sure once we try to use it. I meant the joke, Zaylin said. Did I do the joke right? You knew I was joking about getting you demoted and you didn't feel threatened? Oh. Vane blinked. Yes, you did it right. I didn't think for a second you were actually threatening me. Zaylin beamed, and her face was one of the most beautiful things Vane had ever seen. Traces of her smile remained as she continued to build her data stick. It took some tweaking, and it didn't work for the first few times, but eventually Zaylin was able to slide the stick into a port into the wall and have it display a simple image of Zavea, complete with its 2 moons. Well done, Vane said, genuinely impressed. You're getting faster and faster at assembling things. Zaylin flushed. Thank you. I wouldn't say I have a natural talent for it, but I'm starting to understand how useful it is to be able to manipulate the technology we use. You must have been very wise to realize that when you first started studying. I wouldn't say that, Vane said. It is useful. But to me, engineering, building, it's more than that. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but I didn't enter this field thinking about how practical it could be. I just liked it and pursued it, despite my sister's protests. Engineering was the craft of cowards. Still is, in many minds, as you pointed out. The craft of cowards, Zaylin said, rolling the words slowly over her tongue. It's hard to picture you as a coward. Her words caused an uncomfortable twist in Vane's gut. You flatter me, Your Highness. Vane began gathering her things. Well, I think that concludes our lesson today. I know you have important crown heir things to do, and since Rokva is going to be with the king for the rest of the day, I'll prepare something easy for tomorrow. The soft expression on Zalen's face vanished. You said he was doing combat training. He is. Vane's bioband blipped, revealing a general message warning about a group of rebels rumored to be skulking around the capital. He's doing combat training with the king. But he's 11, Zalen said. Something in her voice didn't sound right. It wasn't frantic, exactly, but it was definitely off. Vane looked up from her task to study the Crown Heir's face. Is everything all right? Maybe you should check on him. Zalen clasped her hands together, lips pressed into a thin line. Even better, you could come up with an excuse to end the training early. Why? Vane asked. You saw how excited he was. I don't want to take that away from him. You saw how excited he was. I don't want to take that away from him. He's so jealous whenever you and the king leave on campaigns. And he just wants to spend time with his father. Because there's so much to be jealous of, Zalen said, rubbing her arm. She flinched and shook her head. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been so bitter. But check on him, will you? Just make sure he's doing well. I don't like the tone that I used for that entire paragraph. I'm going to do that again. Because there's so much to be jealous of, Zalen said, rubbing her arm. She flinched and shook her head. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been so bitter. But check on him, will you? Just to make sure he's doing well? Of course, Crown Zalen, Vane said. Zalen gave a brisk nod and exited the instruction room, not waiting for an escort. Her sudden uneasiness rubbed off on Vane, and she decided to forego cleaning up, just for a bit. She'd see how Rokva was doing and come right back. Vane quickly made her way to the local warp pad and entered the destination of the training center into the travel screen instead of speaking it aloud. The world dissolved into a blinding blue light and slowly reformed through the haze of ringing ears and nausea. It took her only a moment to find the training room. The king's voice rang out loud and clear, full of joy and energy. Again, you almost got me that time. That didn't sound happy. That doesn't sound full of joy and energy. I'm gonna do that again. Again, you almost got me that time. Two members of the Crown's guards stood at the doors to the training room, spears in hand. Vane expanded her bioband, displayed a signal of her rank, and they let her pass. Once she pushed open the doors, Vane didn't see anything out of the ordinary. The kid gripped a training staff in his hands and panted, slightly bowed over. His father stood over him, spinning his own staff with a flourish. Go on, the king said. I said again! Rokva took a gulp of air before strengthening up. Not strengthening. He's not strengthening. Rokva took a gulp of air before straightening up and rushing forward, swinging his weapon at his father's legs. The king blocked the attack with a flick of his wrist and slammed his staff into the side of Rokva's torso. The kid staggered back with the blow, but his father didn't stop. Instead of ramming... The kid staggered back with the blow, but his father didn't stop, instead ramming his staff into the kid's ankles and knocking him off his feet. That's not how you do it, the king said. You have to be strong, relentless, like this. He raised his staff, and panic bubbled from Vane's throat. "Your Majesty!" The king paused and turned away from his trembling son. "Admiral, I didn't see you there. Will you be joining us?" No, Vane said. I forgot about a very time-sensitive assignment the prince has to complete today. We'll need to cut your lesson short. We'll need to cut your session short." She clasped her hands behind her back and kept her expression as neutral as possible. Disappointment fell over his face. "Ah, that's a shame, isn't it, Rakva?" The kid didn't respond, and instead wiped blood from a shallow cut on his cheek. "I am very sorry," Vane said. "I'll make sure to keep better track of his assignments in the future." She gestured to Rakva with the slightest jerk of her head, and the kid dropped his staff, bolting to her. Vane didn't wait for the king's possible response, and took Rakva directly back to the instruction room. He didn't say anything, and kept his gaze pinned to the ground the entire time. Once they were inside, Vane closed the door and knelt in front of him. "Hey," she said. "Are you okay?" Rakva shrugged, still staring at the ground. Vane wanted to kick herself. How could she have been so stupid? At the very least, she should have arranged the session to be at a time she'd be present as well. "Listen, I am so sorry," Vane said. "I didn't realize—" The door swung open, revealing Zaylin. She held a medkit and wordlessly made her way to her brother. Vane stepped aside. The crowned heir was obviously more familiar with the situation than she was. Zaylin sat on the ground and opened the medkit, quietly saying something Vane couldn't hear. Rakva nodded, and Zaylin gently rubbed bruise ointment over the sides of his face. The kid didn't resist, but he didn't look at her either. He obeyed her instructions when she had him take off his coat, revealing marks climbing up his arms. All Vane could do was watch in horror. This was her fault. She'd suggested it. She'd arranged the session with the king. She'd known he was forgetful and eccentric, but she never dreamed that he'd treat his own children like this. "I should have warned you," Zaylin said. "Father, he isn't good, Rakva. I've done my best to keep him away from you and Kellis, but I should have done more." Rakva flung his arms around his sister, burying his head in her shoulder. Zaylin stiffened, but eventually returned the embrace. Vane swallowed a lump in her throat and turned away. She should have known better. The king was part of the crown. He had been handpicked by the queen. Of course he wouldn't be gentle. Of course he wouldn't be a good person to train literal children. Of course he'd be one more person Vane would have... Of course he'd be one more person Vane... Of course he would be... No, I said that wrong. Of course he'd be one more person Vane would have to protect the kids from. Yippee! Okay, that was the end of chapter 10. Yes, it's reading time. Hi, Water Ocean. Hello. I don't know what part of the reading you joined on. But welcome, and thank you so much for the follows on TikTok and on Twitch. Thank you. And thank you, Just Some Guy, for the gifts on TikTok. Also, if anybody who is listening isn't able to stay for the whole stream, or isn't able to join stream at future times, worry not, because you can check out my YouTube channel, where I will edit all of my readings and post them as YouTube videos. So anytime you're looking for something that doesn't have all of the mistakes and the pauses and the talking in between, YouTube videos are going to be exactly what's suited for you. If you do enjoy the conversation happening in live streams, and maybe you're not able to catch future live streams, you can actually go back through the previous live streams on YouTube in the live tab. Let me check something. Because so that's that. 7 years post Wakma. I think this is an error. But let me double check on this. I'll explain it. I'll explain it once I've checked. 'Cause this is where things start picking up. Yes. Yeah, this isn't... I don't think this is correct. And I don't know what is supposed to be correct. Now I get to practice doing the other voices. I don't know how I am going to voice a monster, by the way. Because there is a character that is unnamed, and there is a unnamed character that is not Zivayan. So, yeah, guttural grr sounds. You listen to Skillet. Or Smeagol? Okay, so this... Ooh, I don't know if we're gonna be able to get through this entire chapter because... Oh no. I don't know that we're gonna get through this. We've got an hour left on stream, and this chapter is 60 pages. But it's 60 pages because of what's happening. Also, the error that I was referring to is chapter 9 was 2 years and 1 week post Walkmaw. Chapter 10 is 7 years post Walkmaw. Chapter 11 is 7 years and 1 month. Oh, sorry, let me further... Hi, Pookie! Let me further elaborate on this. Chapter 10 is 7 years post-Wakma, 5 months before assassination. The next chapter, chapter 11, is 7 years and 1 month post-Wakma, 6.75 hours before assassination. Can someone math? Do you drink enough? Do you eat enough? Ooh. No, I have not drank nor ate enough, as much as my doctor wants me to. Can someone math for me? Yes, I will repeat. If this next chapter is 7 years and 1 month post-Wakma, I think that is incorrect. We have 6.75 hours before assassination, okay? Chapter 10 is 7 years post-Wakma, 5 months before assassination. I don't think that is correct. That could be correct. I don't know what's correct and what's not. But we have the liberty to fix it. Can I? No, I can't screen. I can't copy anything. Okay, let me copy this. There's that one. You know, I also have to run to the bathroom. We've got an ad starting soon, so this works out perfectly. So, this is chapter 10, and this is chapter 11. Can you do that math while I go bathroom, please? Hello, my goofy goobers. Okay, you did the math. You mathed, okay? This is 5 months before, and this is 7 hours before. But this bends time. Exactly! I'm like, huh? If it was 7 years and only 1 month pass, it would be 4 months. But the post-walk mob puts the current book time between two events and the time pass. So... Okay, so what's the correct... Well, yes, it's a typo, but I need you guys to solve the math so that we can correct the typo in the audiobook. There's no time warping. It should be 4 months. The previous chapter? No. So, I'll explain again. Welcome to TikTok chat. Okay, so while I had run to the bathroom, I told chat, hey, there's a typo. We gotta figure this out. The previous chapter said this is 7 years post-Walk Ma, but 5 months before the assassination. But the current chapter that I'm about to read says 7 years and 1 month post-Walk Ma. 6.75 hours before assassination. Are we sure that it's not 7 years and 5 months post-Walk Ma? Because we're talking about hours. Pookie, you can fall asleep to my voice. You're absolutely welcome to. People can fall asleep to my voice. If they don't fall asleep, they can just relax and feel peaceful. Hopefully. I know sometimes I'm a goofy goober. I'm saying it's 7 years before. Venom, no, you're just being silly. Ow. Night, Pookie. Whenever somebody says that they're gonna go to sleep, we can exclamation point good night in Twitch chat. Only Twitch though, sorry. Hi, Pro Self Love. I'm surprised none of you are making it a 6-7 joke. Thank you. So we add 4 months and it becomes 7 years, 5 months, which would make sense why it's just hours. So the previous chapter was 7 years post-Walk Ma, 5 months before assassination. So this chapter should just be 7 years and 5 months post-Walk Ma, 6.75 hours before assassination. Okay. That way I don't have to fix the previous chapter. I can fix this chapter. I'm glad we did math on stream. I don't think anyone else is happy that we did math on stream, but we did math on stream. If anybody is wondering what I'm drinking, I have tea. I have tea and water. I thought when Pookie said that they slept for 2 hours, I thought they were going to make a joke about, like, time warping with the current conversation. I thought that would have been really funny. Alright, but I know that we are not going to finish this chapter today, because this chapter, singular chapter, has 60 pages, because I think I can still do math. I think. I have insomnia. I have medication that's making it hard for me to sleep, so I get you. I don't have insomnia. Consistently. Assassin Day comes sooner. Okay. Alright, so I'll start reading for this chapter. Good night, Pookie. Chapter 11. 7 years and 5 months post Wakma. 6.75 hours before assassination. Vane tried desperately to explain to her liege that she would not push back his bedtime. "But I'm old enough to stay up late," Rakva insisted. The frills around his ears flared up, extended to their fullest. "I'm sure you are," Vane said, adjusting her hand around the tiny fingers of Princess Kellis. Unlike her brother, Kellis was more than happy to run through the palace hallway, giggling as she splashed the crystalline carpet of water with her feet. "Then why do I keep going to bed at 17th hour?" Rakva asked, darting ahead of Vane to walk backwards in front of her. "I'm almost 12. Vane's gaze flicked to her bioband, where the time displayed in a glowing arrangement of biomatter and algae. She was still running late. The king would either have her publicly humiliated, or he'd arrive late himself. There wasn't a third scenario. Today didn't feel like a good day to gamble. Today didn't feel like a good day to gamble. "Unfortunately, my liege, your bedtime is not up for debate." "But you could change it if you wanted to," Rakva said, nearly tripping over his own feet as he continued to walk backwards. With every step he took, he disturbed drifting clumps of biomatter, forcing them to release a subtly mossy musk. "Straighten up, you're going to fall." Vane prepared herself to catch him, and, sure enough, his foot caught on the back of his other heel, and he tumbled backward. Vane's free hand snapped out and grabbed the collar of the kid's military-style uniform. His eyes grew wide, but it didn't take him more than a moment to wriggle free from her hold and swipe her fingers away from his double-breasted jacket. "I don't need your help, Sir Vane," he said, voice dark. Vane bit back a sigh. "Of course you don't, Your Highness." She glanced down at the time again, ignoring the scars crossing the webbing between her fingers. 7 minutes until the start of her meeting. She bent down, scooping Kellis into her arms, and the kid released a delighted shriek as she settled into Vane's hip. Something round and dark lurked beneath the kid's tiny, clenched fist. Vane twisted her face in a scowl. "Kellis? Kellis, is that a rock from outside?" Jubilation vanished from Kellis's features, and she hid her hands behind her back. "No." "I still don't get it," Rakva said. "You're my caretaker, aren't you? You should be able to change my bedtime." "Less talking, more moving," Vane said. "I'm not about to be late again." Rakva stuck his tongue out at her, but ultimately obeyed, and it wasn't long before they arrived in front of an ornate door inlaid with reliefs of gold warriors. Hi, Jim. Excuse me. I'm almost waiting for the blurp. I haven't heard it yet. It's under the sauce. Where's the cheese? It's under the sauce. Rockva stuck out his tongue at her, but ultimately obeyed, and it wasn't long before they arrived in front of an ornate door inlaid with reliefs of golden warriors battling spindly, seven-legged aliens. Vane lifted her knuckles to knock, but a scream echoed from the other side of the door, followed by a horrific crunch of metal on coral. Crown Zalen? That was not the right voice. Crown Zalen? Was that the right voice? I don't know that that was the right voice. Crown Zalen? I still don't know if that was the right voice. This is the voice that I choose for Vane. Crown Zalen? Close enough. Vane called out, bile rising in her throat as she frantically tapped her bioband against the door's access panel. It blipped purple, denying her access, and the screams continued inside. Falling tears? Falling tears, Vane muttered, tugging on the door as she tried not to imagine the worst. This prompted Kellis, who still rested on her hip, to widen her eyes in horror and delight. You said bad word. Do I want that to be the voice for Kellis? Quick, chat, how do I sound like a child? You said a bad word. Vane nearly cursed again, but pounded on the door instead. Crown Zalen! Is everything all right? The noises of destruction on the other side abruptly vanished, and after a few light footsteps, the door slid open, revealing Crown Zalen. She stood almost as tall as Vane, though she still had about 5 more years of growth left before she finally hit the fully mature age of 24. She wore a combat uniform and primly folded her hands in front of her. Yes, Sir Vane, I am doing quite well. Kellis squirmed out of Vane's grip and threw her arms around her sister's waist, while Rockva slipped between Zalen and the doorframe to enact some sort of mischief inside. How are you enjoying your time back, Crown Zalen? Vane asked, pressing her finger horizontally against her forehead in salute. I hear your campaign went well? It did, Zalen said, voice dry. We subdued the Ekin planet and offered a unanimous vote of surrender. We subdued the Ekin planet and they offered a unanimous vote of surrender. They will be wonderful additions to our empire. 2 years ago, when Zalen said words like this, she might have actually meant them. But Vane had spent enough time with her to know that bitterness and doubt tainted her words. Is there a reason you've come here? Zalen asked, gaze flicking back to Rockva, who rested his hands on his hips as he admired a wall filled with weapons. I have a meeting in a few minutes, and I was hoping you'd be able to watch your siblings for me, Vane said, giving another salute. It shouldn't take more than 2 hours. They've also been very excited to see you. They wanted to see me, did they? Zalen asked, arching an eyebrow. Behind her, Rockva dragged a footstool through the water and climbed atop it, reaching for a blaster rifle half his size. They did. Vane allowed herself a brief gaze further into the bedroom, where the footboard of Zaylen's stained coral bed lay in pieces. Are you absolutely sure everything is all right? You haven't encountered any assassins or traitors? Zaylen shook her head. I've just been relieving stress. I cannot help but wonder why you've decided to leave my siblings with me instead of one of their caretakers. Salakin's been getting wound up lately. I made her take the week off. Besides, they missed you, Vane said. And I knew where to find you. Zaylen pursed her lips and pinned her frills against her skull. Vane's bioband blipped, a reminder that her meeting started very, very soon. Don't let anyone else pick them up, she said, backing away. I'll be back in an hour, maybe 2. Make Kellis put her rock back outside before she tries eating it again. No! Kellis shrieked. Vane tightened her mouth into a thin line, tilted her head in a glare, and pointed at the youngest of the crown children as she backed away. As she kept backing away. We don't eat non-food items, Kellis. I'm sorry. Those are the rules. Kellis hid behind Zaylen, gripping the blast-resistant fabric of her sister's pants, and yelled something so fast her words became incomprehensible. Vane glanced at her wrist, realized she had less than 2 minutes to get where she needed to be, and ran. Rocks. You're silly. .5 hours before assassination. Normally, Zaylen didn't mind spending time with her siblings, but today she worried the anger would spill out. Crown Zaylen, your presence has been requested. Crown Zaylen, your starship sustained damage on your return journey. This is unacceptable. Crown Zaylen, your negotiations with the Tsar nearly failed. Why did you falter? You know how important this truce is. Zaylen, you lost half your troops to that ambush. Why weren't you prepared? Blocking out her father's voice, Zaylen ran a hand along the sealed gills on her neck and closed her bedroom door. What's this rock about, Kellis? She asked. Kellis proudly held up something small and dark, as if it were a gemstone. Zaylen plucked the stone from her sister's fingers and found it remarkably insignificant. I found it from outside. I found it from outside, Kellis explained. We don't have to put it back. I can just hide it again, like this. She took the stone back and plopped it in her mouth. I think you should spit that out, Zaylen said. Look at me! No, that's not Rakva's voice. What does a 12... No, he's 11? No, how old is this child again? Didn't he say he was 11? almost 12. Yeah, he's almost 12. I've not seen you in Omnifighter? Oh my god. Oh my god. Hello. Thank you for the heart. Hello. We are reading Drown the Stars. I just needed a moment. Normal, just a lighter voice. They speak normally.
What, they don't speak like this? They don't speak like this?
You're usually asleep when I wake up. Good morning. Ah, there we go. There's the walk-on. Where's the cheese? It's under the sauce. Yeah, that's toddler speech. That's... Well, Kellis wouldn't be a toddler. Kellis isn't a toddler. Kellis should be... 5?
I found it outside.
Is the puzzle piece? Yes. Yes, the puzzle is going. The puzzle is puzzling. Okay, so then does that mean that I need to redo Kellis's voice? Does that mean that add a bit of lisp for... Who? For who? Kellis? Kellis. Kellis, the little girl.
Lisp.
I don't know. You're reading. You have a point. So then doesn't that mean that I need to redo the entire chapter? 'Cause that's wild. Then why do I keep going to bed at a 17th hour? I'm almost 12. Is that voice suitable for Rakva? But you could change it if you wanted to. I don't need your help, Sir Vane. I still don't get it. You're my caretaker, aren't you? You should be able to change my bedtime.
Chip?
Okay. I am stalling too much. Look at me! Rakva somehow managed to hoist Zaylin's favorite mace off the wall, though every limb trembled with the effort. I think I could take out an insurgent in one hit with this. No, that was not correct. You sound like Ash. I haven't watched Pokemon in decades, multiple decades, and that's saying something. Isn't Ash 12? Fuck if I know. Sorry, that's not very cash money of me. I'm supposed to be calm, peaceful, putting people to sleep. You know, if I really wanted to put people to sleep, I would just read the book monotone. I found it outside, Kellis explained. We don't have to put it back. I can just hide it again, like this. She took the stone and plopped it in her mouth. I think you should spit that out, Zaylin said. Look at me. Rakva somehow managed to hoist Zaylin's favorite mace off the wall, though every limb trembled with the effort. I think I could take out an insurgent in one hit with this. How do you guys like that? Is that sufficient? I get to the 5-year-old, the 11-year-old, and the... Hold on, I'm doing math. 16-year-old all sound the same. gonna be the very best. What's this rock about, Kellis? She asked. Kellis proudly held up something small and dark, as if it were a gemstone. Zaylin plucked the stone from her sister's fingers and found it remarkably insignificant. I found it outside, Kellis explained. We don't have to put it back. I can just hide it again. Like this. She took the stone back and plopped it in her mouth. I think you should spit that out, Zaylin said. Look at me! Rokva somehow managed to hoist Zaylin's favorite mace off the wall, though every limb trembled with the effort. I think I could take out an insurgent in one hit with this. Drop that, Zaylin said, jabbing her finger at him. Now! Rokva ignored her and tried to raise the mace above his head. I could take out a whole group of insurgents. Just look 'em right in the eyes and... He moved his arms to swing, but the mace fell to the ground with a splash instead, nearly taking him with it. Zaylin snatched the weapon out of his grip. Zaylin snatched the weapon out of his grip, hefting it in one hand. I told you not to touch my things! Rokva stuck his tongue out and jumped onto the mutilated remains of her bed. I don't know if I said that right. Rokva stuck out his tongue and jumped onto the mutilated remains of her bed. Zaylin, Kellis whispered, tugging on her coat. I gotta ask you something. What? What? Zaylin asked, folding her arms. Kellis stared at the ground, avoiding Zaylin's eyes. If you eat a rock, does that mean you're gonna die? Oh no. She did not want to add an infirmary. Infirmary? Oh no. She did not want to add an infirmary visit on top of everything else. Kellis, did you swallow your rock? Not yet. Not yet. Kellis spit a small stone into her hands, leaving strings of saliva connected to her mouth. But I was thinking about it. Zaylin grabbed the rock and rubbed the spittle off against her own double-breasted jacket as Rokva reached for a prized flail, which held a special place on the wall. Holding back a growl, Zaylin marched over to Rokva and pulled the flail out of his reach. I just told you not to touch my things. She was not in the mood for her siblings' usual mischief. She'd call Sir Vane and make her take them back. The knight would probably appreciate getting out of the meeting anyway. With a light touch, Zaylin activated the liquid bioband around her wrist. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Am I tired? Probably. Are you asking Venom? Probably. With a light touch, Zaylin activated the liquid bioband around her wrist and expanded its width with her finger and thumb, temporarily disturbing the band's interface. Before she could contact anyone, an unread message from her father caught her eye. Starshark repairs are finally finished. I disabled nav, so don't even think about doing anything more than the basics. If I get another call from the budgeting officers about a damaged piece of equipment, I'm putting you in charge of Walkmaw for a month. Zaylin couldn't believe it. He'd dented the Starshark, not her. He'd been the one who insisted they fly through an asteroid field. He'd been the one who insisted they fly through an asteroid field without autonav. Stop touching the buttons. A real Crown heir doesn't need them. Fine. If he could be unreasonable and make stupid decisions regarding her starship, then so could she. Before she could let rational thought take over, Zaylin minimized her bioband and glanced down at her siblings. "Hey, Kellis, Rakva," she said. "Do you two want to go for a ride?" 6 hours before assassination. The Crown Guard were becoming more difficult to bribe, but they still couldn't say no to a blue pearl each. So even though it was definitely not allowed, Zaylin led her siblings directly into the Starship Bay without a single escort. Kellis clung to her hand, and Rakva sauntered next to them with his hands in his jacket pockets. He walked with too much confidence for a kid whose voice hadn't even started to crack yet.
"This place is so big,"
Kellis whispered, squeezing Zaylin's hand.
"There's so much. Kazuzu."
"That's not what that word means." Rakva put his fists over his hips and looked over the shipyard like it belonged to him and him alone. "Kazuzu is scrounger for food, not shiny."
"No, it isn't."
Kellis tugged on Zaylin's hand and tried to swipe at Rakva with her other fist.
"Vane says it means treasure."
"To scroungers, treasure is food," Rakva said, stepping out of Kellis's reach. "They'll eat anything, even people." Zaylin ignored them and came to a stop in front of her personal ship, the Starshark. Out of all the vessels in the shipyard, this one had always been her favorite, even when it hadn't belonged to her. Its sleek curves and sapphire chrome stuck out among the sea of gray and black, and silver accented every sharpened edge and corner. Being the crown heir of Zvea came with a few perks, but ownership of the Starshark was one of them.
"Whoa,"
Kellis whispered.
"It's so pretty."
"I co-pilot." Rakva bolted up to the ship and yanked down the Starshark's boarding handle. The main entrance slowly slid away from the vessel, doubling as a ramp. "I'm not letting you anywhere near the controls." "No, wrong voice. Who is that? Because that's not Zaylin. I don't know who that was." "That was a magical, mysterious person showing up in my conscience." Excuse me, I'm burpy. "I'm not letting you anywhere near the controls." "I'm not letting you anywhere near the controls," Zaylin said, even as Rakva jumped on the ramp before it touched the ground. He darted into the belly of the ship without acknowledging her, and Zaylin stifled a groan. Maybe this was a worse idea than she'd originally thought.
"Do you hear that? You can be co-pilot."
Kellis yelled, letting go of Zaylin's hand to scurry after her brother. to scurry after their brother. I must be losing brain cells because I am unable to read. I hate to inform you, but I am incapable of reading. Oh. Did you hear that? You can be co-pilot. You can't be the co-pilot. Kellis yelled, letting go of Zaylen's hand to scurry after their brother. I'm gonna be the co-pilot. Neither of you are going to be the co-pilot. Zaylen glanced around to make sure the area was devoid of guards or noisy mechanics, and followed them both inside. The Star Shark was small, even for a personal cruiser. It fit perhaps 5 people comfortably, 10 people uncomfortably, and had only the basic luxuries found in most crown vessels. While most of the inside was dedicated to a combined cockpit and passenger area, it also sported its own private resting chamber with a single large bed and the kind of decor that could handle the stress of artificial gravity and interdimensional travel. Rakva completely ignored everything but the pilot's area at the front. By the time Zaylen reached him, he'd already strapped himself into one of the By the time Zaylen reached him, he'd already strapped himself into one of the 2 seats, scrolling through the ship's mechanics. Nope, scrolling through the ship's schematics. Come on, get out, Zaylen said, flipping the all-boarded switch embedded in the ceiling. Behind them, the Star Shark's entrance hummed as it moved to close itself. But I know what I'm doing. I think I'm getting to the part of stream where I just start unraveling. Because I feel like I've hit a wall. I haven't seen anybody say that they finished the puzzle. Okay, there's still 3 people working on the puzzle. God, I'm gonna have a hard time editing this. Come on, get out. Come on, get out, Zaylen said, flipping the all-boarded switch embedded in the ceiling. Behind them, the Star Shark's entrance hummed as it moved to close itself. But I know what I'm doing, Rakva said. I can help. I promise. Oh, really? How many ships have you flown? Rakva hesitated, fingers scrolling through the liquid interface until he landed on the weapons screen. Not any in person. But I practice with the simulators, and I've read a lot. Zaylen jerked her thumb toward the back of the ship. I didn't get to touch the pilot seat until I was 14. Give it 3 more years, and then we can fly together. Her brother didn't give up, and instead turned his face away, pointedly ignoring her, frills folded tight against his skull. And, Zaylen said, setting her hands on her hips. We're not going anywhere unless you get out. Rakva let out the most dramatic moan Zaylen had ever heard, but unbuckled himself and moved out of the cockpit. Maybe I'd let you fly if you weren't so green, Zaylen said, running a quick preliminary check of all the systems. A diagnostic informed her that select parts of the navigation and cloaking had been locked by her father, that location tracking was active, and on top of that, an obnoxious request to update the escape. And on top of that, an obnoxious request to update the escape pod's outdated software popped up. She hesitated, but ultimately dismissed the information window and continued readying the ship for flight. Even though her father had disabled manual nav, Zaylin could still swallow her pride and rely solely on This is me when all of my brain cells stop. I need a massage. Even though her father had disabled manual nav, Zaylin could still swallow her pride and rely solely on automatic navigation. Besides, the escape pods would function fine without the update, and it wouldn't matter if the king tracked her. Rakva could easily convince Sir Vane to wipe their location data later. Zaylin just needed to get away. What would happen if the king found out anyway? Yell? Treat her like a child? He already did that when Zaylin tried her best. If she was going to be punished no matter how well she did her job, then it didn't matter what she did. "How are we doing back there?" Zaylin asked, finishing the pre-flight check. She swiveled to see the door to the resting quarters wide open, and Kellis jumping on the bed with gleeful abandon. Rakva, on the other hand, sat on the floor, his face twisted into a scowl. Bioband expanded almost all the way up his elbow. Zaylin sighed and made her way over to him, crouching down so they were somewhat eye level. "Want to guess how I knew you weren't ready to fly?"
I'm not upset about it.
Rakva snapped, the frills around his ears splaying out.
Stop using your calm down voice.
"You strapped yourself in," Zaylin said. "No pilot who's been in space more than 5 minutes. No pilot who's been in space more than 5 minutes bothers with the straps. Not unless something's wrong with Agrav.
But Vane says..."
"If Sir Vane had her way, you'd be living life in a clear ball. She's just like that."
"Vane knows things,"
Rakva said.
"More than you, anyway."
"She's still a weeper, though. It might not be wise to believe everything she says." Zaylin tousled her brother's sea-green hair before standing up. "Why don't you grab Kellis and make sure the jump doesn't freak her out too bad?" "Fine," Rakva mumbled. He minimized his bioband, grabbed one of the pillows from the bed, and smacked Kellis in the face with it. Zaylin chuckled and plopped down into the primary pilot's seat, sending out a request for clearance. It was quickly granted, and a portion of the shield directly above the hangar slid open as she toggled on the artificial gravity and primary thrusters, sending the ship directly up and through the newly opened ceiling. Once she cleared the shipyard, Zaylin angled the starship's nose. Zaylin angled the Star Shark's nose skyward and thrust the speed as high as it would go. The Agrav prevented the contents of the ship from being violently thrown to the back, but the force required to exit the stratosphere still made the entire vessel shake in a way that injected a pure thrill directly into her veins. Every doubt and pain melted away as she held her breath. The colors of the sky faded into a vast, shimmering velvet black, covered in stars that swarmed into two thick spiral arms. Satisfied, Zaylin killed the speed, set obstacle detection to high, and hit the comms button. "This is Starshark to command. Is it safe to jump from our position?" The response was nearly immediate. "Starshark, jump is safe in approximately 5 minutes. Starshark, jump is safe in approximately 5 minutes, said a voice from the console. "We'll alert you when ready. Stay within 4 waves of your current position for ideal antiplane placement." 4 waves. That broke her previous record of 5. She smirked, but kept pride from her voice as she responded. "Starshark standing by for jump." Releasing a contented sigh, Zaylin disconnected comms and quickly checked the ship's position on the sensor map, commanding the autonav to keep them within 4 waves of the designated jump spot. And she hadn't heard anything from her father. Satisfied, she swiveled around to survey the rest of the ship. Rokva and Kellis were still engaged in their pillow fight, likely oblivious to the fact they'd left the planet at all. "Hey, you two!" Zaylin yelled. "Do you want to see something cool?" Kellis slammed into Rokva's leg, knocking him over and onto a pile of cushions. "Yeah!" "Get in the passenger area." As her siblings half-walked, half-tussled their way out of the resting quarters, Zaylin dropped the opacity of the main hold and transformed every wall into a window. The grunts and squeaks of false combat suddenly "Get in the passenger area." As her siblings half-walked, half-tussled their way out of the resting quarters, Zaylin dropped the opacity of the main hold and transformed every wall into a window. The grunts and squeaks of false combat suddenly ceased as the world beyond the ship entered their vision. Rokva lowered himself to sit cross-legged on the floor, and Kellis joined him, eyes wide. For the first time Zaylin could remember, neither of them made any noise. It didn't matter how much trouble she got in for this. It was worth it. As much as she enjoyed the Yeah, I was gonna say that right. I don't know why I stopped. Jesus Christ. As much as she enjoyed the majesty of the skies, seeing her siblings take it in for themselves was even better. "What do you think?" Zaylin asked, folding her arms.
I didn't know there were so many stars in the whole wide world,
Kellis said. She unfurled her webbed hands and alternated her gaze between them and the universe outside.
I'm gonna need a lot more fingers to count them.
Tilting his head, Rokva set his chin on top of his fist. "Is it like this when you and Dad go on campaigns?" Zaylin failed to hold back a snort, like their father could ever enjoy something besides the sound of his own voice, or the discomfort in the eyes around him.
So you do have fun,
Rokva said, eyebrows rising with triumph. Eyebrows rising in triumph.
I knew it. When will I be able to come with you?
Never. No one deserved to be subjected to traveling with the king, especially not Rokva. King Keda. Kida. I knew I said that wrong. Never. Never. No one deserved to be subjected to traveling with a king, especially not Rokva. King Keda. King Keda. Keda or Kida? I think it's Keda. King Keda might have... Okay, gotta get used to this. King Keda might have been a military genius, but he was more of a child than Kellis, calling names, throwing tantrums, breaking anything that didn't cooperate with him. A voice crackled over the ship's console, yanking Zaylin from her thoughts. Command to Starship. Stream is now clear. It is safe to commence jump. Zaylin scrambled up. Zaylin scrambled up to the console, activating comms. Understood. Now initiating jump. She released comms and turned to her brother. Rokva, you know what to do. Though he grimaced, Rokva wrapped his arms around Kellis and yanked her into his lap, triggering a screech of protest. Good job, Zaylin said, speaking louder than normal so she could be heard over Kellis's incoherent vocals. Hold her steady until we're in the antiplane. She slid into the pilot's seat and activated the jump sequence, fingers flying over the liquid console as she entered all the necessary codes and configurations.
Where are we going?
I don't think that was Rokva's voice.
Where are we going?
Rokva asked, yelling over Kellis's defiant squeals.
The Aurora Nebula!
Zaylin shouted back, spinning to face him. You'll love it. The whine of the jump reactor accelerated to a roar. Zaylin clenched her fingers around the arms of her seat, prepping for the disorientation that came with planar jumps.
Why aren't you using the controls?
Rokva yelled.
Didn't Dad disable autonav?
What? No, he disabled manual... The realization struck her like a blow. She'd used manual nav to leave the shipyard. Maybe her father had lied. Maybe he hadn't followed through with his stupid punishment, and she'd incorrectly remembered him disabling navigation. Yes, that was it. Just to make sure, Zaylin pulled up the panel with all the ship's restrictions and read, Navigation Automatic, listed among the locked systems. Not Navigation Manual, like she'd assumed. It was her use of manual nav that had resulted in the Star Shark's damaged hull, not autonav. Surely the king understood that. If autonav had been off this whole time, then the ship would have never... If the autonav had been off this whole time, then the ship would have been... If the autonav had been off this whole time, then the ship would never have slowed itself to stay within the 4-wave distance required for successful... If the no, not we're gonna stop here. Wow. Yeah. We're stopping. I just can't read. I have forgotten how to read. That's so fun. That's so cool. We are at the 2-hour mark, so it's my time. But it's hot in here. I clearly can't use my brain anymore. I am incapable of reading. I'm Steph. I'm 19 and I never learned how to read. Yeah. This, like I said, this is also a 60-page chapter. So it's not my jaw muscles that are at fault. My brain works faster than my ability to speak. So the words that I read on the screen are happening so fast that my mouth cannot keep up. So when I'm wow, that's a perfect example. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to sleep. I wish I could have done better for you guys today. I really gave it a try, but apparently I just cannot do it. So we're gonna cut our losses here. And I am going to hopefully rest up and read tomorrow at a capable capacity. That'd be nice. That'd be really nice. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Let me see if I can find someone for us to raid. Ooh, I know this person. I haven't been to their streams before, but I've seen them elsewhere. So let's go say hello to them. They are doing a collab, so please do be respectful. This is the part where we say our good nights, our goodbyes, and our see you tomorrows. I will be back again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern Time Zone. We will continue reading Drown the Stars by Quiana Chase. If you are watching on Twitch, we are going to raid, ! Raid, copy the raid message, paste the raid message when we arrive. Please represent this community well, behave, be nice. If you are watching on YouTube or TikTok, the stream is just going to end for you, but I highly encourage you to join the Discord server in the link on the profile. Or if you miss me and you are not able to join on the live streams, you can always check out my YouTube. You will see the past live streams on YouTube and they won't expire on YouTube. You will also be able to watch my other YouTube videos, which are going to be the edited versions of these live streams, so you can catch up on so many hours of my readings. Until then, please drink your water, eat your food, be kind to yourself and others, and have a good night.